Welcome back, friends, and welcome in those who are new to the channel. If you guys don't know me, I am Firepower, and today we are playing more Cottage Witch. Now, today's episode, we are planning to venture into the Create mod and make several machines that are going to improve the rest of our gameplay. These are going to include the mechanical press to make iron plates, the mechanical mixer to make brass, a super smelter to smelt all the things that we are going to need, a mechanical crafter to craft the crushing wheels for our ore crushing and washing factory so we can process all of those wonderful raw ores that we have, and then we're going to end up making my favorite build tool there is, the Wand of Symmetry. Now, in order to power all these, we are also going to need to make a windmill. So that'll be a ton of fun. Can't wait to get into that. But before we start, I wanted to go over a couple comments that were left, a couple suggestions from last episode. So first off, we had a couple people suggest that in this space right over here, we go ahead and put our Hexeri set up. So I'm definitely interested in doing that. I think that's a perfect idea because we did have to take up our Hexeri mixing cauldron and we don't have a home for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down right here. Next, we had a few comments saying that we wanted to go back to the dirt path that we had originally. So the dirt path was a combination of coarse dirt, rooted dirt, and dirt blocks or dirt bricks that formed together in a random pattern to make all of our paths. Now we are going to go ahead and line the path as well with the Podsoil as we did before to kind of give it a little bit of a border. And I think it'll look better. I'm on the fence. I've looked at it in creative and I like it, but at the same time I don't. I just don't know. But I went ahead and posted a couple pictures in Discord earlier and it was overwhelming the amount of results that people voted saying that the dirt was the better choice. So that's what we're going to go for. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started now, and then once I get this wrapped up, we're gonna go ahead and work on that Hexeri setup real quick, and then we should be able to jump into Create. So if you guys are here for Create, just want to see Create, you're more than welcome. Look at the chapters down below. You can jump right ahead. This will probably only take us 2 or 3 minutes to do in total because the joys of editing. All right. Let me go ahead and get this all switched out and I'll see you just in a minute. All right, so we just about have all of the dirt finished being replaced, but as you guys see, we're using the trowel from Quark to randomly place blocks for us. We've used this before. It's absolutely amazing. But basically how you use it is you put blocks on your hotbar, and every time you right click on the trowel, it'll randomly pick a block from your hotbar and put it down. All right, so that went ahead and finished up all of the dirt blocks. So all of the dirt blocks are now in. Now we need to go ahead and come in here and randomly put down Podsoil. I did not know that you could turn Podsoil into a path block. Okay, so don't put that in the offhand, but let's go ahead, come in here. I want to basically kind of not necessarily line the path completely, but I want to put a little bit of a border so that it kind of helps outline the path, but I don't want to have it, you know, on every single border, right? I want to have some area that doesn't have anything, and I think it'll kind of help give it a little bit of a border look, but without being too overbearing, because Podsoil is a darker block and it is kind of a overbearing block, I feel. So kind of using it sparingly will be very beneficial. All right, so let me go ahead, get these placed, and we'll be back yet again. All right, I think this path is now done. We've outlined it a little bit with Podsoil, not completely, but good enough to kind of give it enough of a border that you can tell exactly where the path is. I feel that that border is kind of necessary just because of the fact that the path is made out of dirt blocks and it kind of blends with the natural surroundings. So the border really helps kind of give it a little bit of definition and helps you know exactly where the path is. All right, so now that the path is actually, nope. We're not done yet. We need slabs because I don't want to have to come up here and jump every single time. We should have some dirt. There we go. Dirt brick slabs. And perfect. Now we're going to need the same thing way down here. Now I did not replace the path blocks down here. This is going to be a project for another day once we get more invested in building down here, which will be next episode, I do believe. So we'll get that replaced and the entire path finalized because we still have some updates to do over there. All right, so we wanted to go ahead and work on our Hexeri setup. So in order to work on our Hexeri setup, first I want to put down a couple lanterns, make sure this area is well lit. But we have a bunch of different blocks that I've went ahead and pre-crafted here. One thing that I thought would look really cool is if on this back wall here, we have a couple of the broom stands and we hang our brooms from the wall. So we should be able to put the mahogany in the middle. That's going to be the best one. And then we'll do the willow and the witch hazel. And I think that just gives it a super cool look. Now we need to go ahead and get some of the altars in here, which I thought I crafted. Nope. Let's go ahead and get some altars. Let's see. I think we are going to need 7. And of course I can only craft 6. Let's get some more mahogany slabs. Get one more altar out. Now, do I have a book of shadows? Book of shadows. I do not, but can we make one? We should be able to. Looks like, yeah, just craft it in our crafting table. Okay. So with the altars, I'm going to go ahead and span them against the back wall here. And I'm going to put the Book of Shadows right in the middle. Now, the Book of Shadows, if you guys aren't familiar, is the guidebook for Hexeri, and it's super cool because when you have it on an altar, you come up and you right click it, you'll activate it. And in order to read the book, you literally just interact with the pages and you go to the next page. So like, that's super cool. And then as you walk away, it kind of goes down, you come closer and it opens back up and it does follow you, which is really like, I just love that animation. All right. So I figured we needed a little bit of a carpet as we're standing here reading from our book. We need something to rest our feet on so we can stand here longer. Now we did need to get our mixing cauldron in here. So let's go ahead and get our mixing cauldron. Put this down so that if we need to mix anything in the future, we should be able to. And we need to put the blood sigil in there as well. If you guys are unfamiliar with how Hexeri works and a lot of the crafting, I think we went over this in episode number 2. So you can kind of go back and get a good overview, but the gist of it is the mixing cauldron is kind of like a crafting table. You can fill it up with either blood, lava, or water and do crafts. This is how you end up going and making your brooms and making lots of other things from Hexeri, is through that cauldron. Now I want to go ahead and get a few of these drying racks out and put them over here against the wall. And I wanted to get a bunch of sage. I think this will go ahead and give it a nice look, as if we have a bunch of sage here just drying. Perfect. And then for additional decorations, Hexeri also has all these herb jars, and I was thinking that we can put 4 of these down over here, and then we'll fill it with all of the different Hexeri plants. So we have the mandrake, the belladonna, the mugwort, and then also the yellow dock rather. Now I think this is kind of the majority of the Hexeri things, but I kind of wanted to give it a little bit just make it look a little bit nicer. So I figured we can put a cauldron down over here, maybe even a cauldron here as well. I got a couple of these potion bottles. I figured potion bottles are kind of perfect because, you know, we're a witch, we're using our mixing cauldron, we're making potions. So it just kind of felt natural that we would have potions laying around. And I think that just kind of gives it a nice witchy feel. Now, I also don't want to have grass as the floor, and I was thinking gravel and cobblestone kind of mixed together. So let's go ahead and dig this out a little bit. I'm going to probably break that carpet. Of course I am. I really should have done this first, but you know, I wasn't really thinking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put down a couple dirt down here so that... What is that? No, what was that? All right, so keep cleaning this out real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and put these down. All right, and then back to using trowel, randomly putting down these blocks. Oh, we are trying to put down our sleeping bag. Make sure to get that off our hotbar, and we won't have any issues when we click. Okay, this is pretty much done. Let's get the bison fur back out. And last suggestion, Darkest Banshee went ahead and said we should take our cat, our black cat that we have, and put her over here as well. Now, where can we put her? Maybe just sitting right here at the edge will be nice, so that we can easily see the kitty cat as we walk by. We don't really have any extra table space to kind of put the cat, so I don't know. Unless we can get the cat on top of the cauldron, we should be able to. Maybe if we put a trapdoor of some sort on top of it. Let's get a dark oak one. Put that down, and then get the cat. Nope, I need to right click, but if I right click, I'm going to open it up. So cobblestone and cat. There we go. The cat is down. Push it forward just ever so slightly, not too much though. Okay, there we go. That looks like it'll work. And this villager decided to make this home because of the cauldrons. All right, so that went ahead and wrapped up this project. Next, we are getting to create. Now, if you guys are not familiar with create, basically what create is, in a nutshell, is it is mechanical gears and cogs and just mechanical machinery. Now, it can do a lot, and I mean a lot. Everything within Create runs off of what's called rotational force. And in order to generate rotational force, you need to have one of, say, like 2 or 3 or 4 different things. There's multiple different ways of getting it. The easiest way to get rotational force would be to use a water wheel. This is the most basic, it is the simplest thing to do, and it's super easy to craft. A few planks and then a single shaft is all you really need. Now, you can go ahead and upgrade that water wheel and get a larger water wheel, which can handle more stress. And we'll get to stress in just a minute. But the larger one is also rather nice. Now, it does go a little bit slower, so you'll have to do gear shifting to get it up. But again, we'll go over that in a little bit. Okay, so in addition to those, the other way that you can do it is to use a windmill. So there is a windmill bearing that you can go ahead and craft. And if we hit W on this, we can kind of see how it works. You go ahead and you put down the windmill bearing, you set up your wind sails, and all you need to do is glue it all together. And then if you right click on the windmill bearing, it'll go ahead and start it up and you generate rotational force that way. Now, this is the way that we're going to end up doing it here in this episode. I'm not going to go into the water wheels. I'm also not going to go into the original idea that I had, which was using the Ars Nouveau starbuncle in a wheel. So let me see, at create starbuncle. There we go, and get a starbuncle wheel. And this will have just a little critter inside the wheel, and as they run, it'll generate force. I thought this was a really cool, really creative way of using magic to create rotational force. But in order to do everything that we want to do, it's just not going to generate enough rotational force. Now, over here on our previous build that we started with, if I can go ahead and get creative flight, if I get close enough over here. Oh, all right, anytime now. There we go. All right, so if you guys didn't know how we are getting creative flight, we have a ritual going. So this will just constantly give us rotational, or this will constantly give us flight, but we do have to be within range of it. All right, so the original build that we started with, now the tower over here, it kind of looked as if it was already made to have a windmill associated with it. There is a hole right there, and if we even come in here and look, there is already some shafts and some cogwheels attached, where I think it was fully intended for this to be a windmill. So I want to go ahead and take this, transform it into a windmill, and use that to generate all of our rotational force that we are going to need. Now let me go over here and get the items that we need for it, and we'll go ahead and build a little of it together, and then I'll go ahead and put the rest in a little time lapse, as it is going to be a little tedious to make. Not too bad though. Okay, so very first up, in order to have a windmill, we need to have the windmill bearing. So go ahead and put that down. And then from here, we can go ahead and put all of our stuff. Now, luckily the windmill bearing already has glue attached to it. So anything that we put on here, well, that's not nice. I might need to go ahead and move our ritual a little bit closer so that we have flight. So let me go do that real quick, and we'll be back to finish building that. All right, so the windmill bearing is down, and as I mentioned, it already has glue on there. So we can go ahead and build directly off of this. Now, the first block we put down will automatically be glued to it, but if we put more down, we will need to glue these. Now, Create does have a radial chassis that is already, if you put multiple down, going to be attached to themselves. So that is going to be super beneficial. We'll use this to start with, and I think this is the block that we're going to use to build the windmill off of. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to build the windmill first, and then I'll come through and glue it afterwards. All right, so when I was building this in Creative, trying to figure out the style of windmill that I wanted to go for, I was struggling. I really was. And I could not figure out a design to save my life. I tried so many different things, and everything I tried was just a bust. Now, I went ahead and Googled tons and tons of different designs. I tried them, and I just wasn't happy. I then found this design, or one similar to it. It's not this exactly. And I tried it out, and I kind of loved it. It's not your standard windmill shape. And I think because of that, I fell in love with it. and it just looks super cool. And we're gonna go ahead and change it up slightly, add in a ton of different colors, and it really makes it pop even more. Now, this is basically one of the 4 blades of the windmill. Now we're going to go ahead and add some more things, change the white out for other colors, but that's the general look of it. Now, as you go ahead and you build your windmill, there are different sizes windmills, and the larger the windmill, the more rotational force it'll generate, up to 128 blocks in size. Now, when you are counting the blocks in size, you can either count the number of wool blocks or the number of sails. Now, the sails can be empty or filled, but you basically need either a sail or a wool block. Now, I went ahead and counted, and we have, I think it's exactly 32, maybe 33 wool blocks over here. Yep, it should be 33. We had 64 to begin with. So we have just over what we need in order to have 128 once we build this on the other 3 sides. So let me go ahead, finish building this, and we'll come back to add a little bit more of the fine detail work into this. So hopefully you guys like that little time lapse. We got the windmill all built. Now, hopefully you guys like this. It is definitely a more unique design. We have been going with a lot of colors, from our greenhouse over here to all the trees and just everything we have going on. So I kind of felt as if a colorful windmill would also kind of work pretty well with what we've got going on. And I kind of just like the design. It's unique. It's not like the majority of the windmills you see. Now, once we get this turned on and actually going, it's going to look absolutely phenomenal. But before we can turn it on, we need to start gluing it, because if we come over here and try turning it on right now, it'll be perfectly fine. So let's just do this. It's not even going right now. This contraption is unable to be assembled. Oh, because there's no sails, because nothing is glued together. So we can't even turn it on right now. But in order to actually get the sails going, we need to glue. And I just looked up the recipe for glue, and it has an item that we don't have, which is the iron sheet. Now, we have slime balls and iron nuggets, but we don't have that iron sheet. And in order to get the iron sheet, we need to use the pressing machine. Now, one thing that we can do instead of this, which we could just put down a simple pressing machine, use our hand to do it. You know what? Actually, let's just do that. I was going to show you guys a different way, but we're going to do that in a minute as we craft another item. So in order to get that iron, we just need the depot, we need the mechanical press, and then we also need something to turn it. And for right now, we can just use a hand crank. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and get an iron ingot out. And let's just put this down. So let's come over here, say right here. Put that down, and let's just put the hand crank on it for now. ironing it down. And if we just hold right click, there we go. It went ahead and smashed down, and now we have the iron sheet. So now we should be able to come over here, make the glue, and get to gluing our windmill so that we don't have to hold down the hand crank on all of our machines. That is going to get old very quick, and it uses a lot of our food. So let's go ahead, get this glue, come over here, and I'll show you guys how to use it. The gist is that anything that is attached to the radial chassis here needs to be glued to every single part. And if we don't include one of the parts, then we're going to go ahead and not have things properly attached. Now, I would recommend just basically selecting one point, going down, selecting another, and basically just get everything connected. Because of the way that I have things connected here in the middle, it's gonna make it rather difficult. So I'm gonna have to do some creative gluing over here. And one of the other things that you want to try and do is you don't want to do something like this, where just saying that that's not even selected blocks must be connected. Oh, because they're not even connected. I can't even do that. You don't want to do something, say for instance, like this. All right. So if I do this, you'll notice that there are blocks in here that are just air. And part of the issue is that if any other block were to magically come in here, which in a windmill, that's not really going to happen. When it's a machine on the ground, that easily can happen. And you want to try to avoid having air blocks because it'll randomly pick up random blocks. Now, I think for here, I'm just going to leave it because realistically, that'll never happen. And that'll go ahead and glue a lot of this middle part together. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and connect all these from like top left corner to bottom right, etc., which I totally had left and right wrong there. But let's go ahead and kind of connect all these together so everything is glued. That entire fin or wing is now glued, but we need to get all these little pieces, and this is gonna take some time. All right, once you have everything glued up, make sure you keep holding the glue for a little bit. Look over everything and just make sure every block here is selected, as when you turn it on, you really don't want random blocks not going with the rest of the machine. So let's go ahead, come over here and right click this to turn it on. And there we go. We have a strong breeze. So the strong breeze pretty much tells us we have the maximum strength windmill that there is. And there we go. I just think that looks so cool. I just think that looks so freaking cool. All right. So now that we have the windmill, we need to get this connected and get all of the rotational force that's being generated here and take it over to our little create area that we have set up over there. So in order to do that, all we need to do is come in here and connect the rotational shaft, I guess we'll call it, up with more shafts and get it all the way taken over there. Now, I'm not going to want that visible, so I'm going to do it underground. And in order to do that, I need to come over here, get a bunch of the shafts, and then I'm also going to go ahead and grab some gearboxes and vertical gearboxes. I'm going to use this to basically put 90s and just turns in the middle of our shafts. All right, so over here, in order to take the rotation going down, basically I'm going to use that gearbox I mentioned. So we're going to use a vertical one, and just putting it right here means now we can take that rotation and bring it down. Let's go ahead and connect that up, and we got it all the way down to here. But I may actually take it to about right here. We're going to do 2 more shafts and a gearbox. And now it's taken off to the side, which means that I can go ahead and go all the way down with it. The reason I didn't want it right in the middle is because our nether portal was right here, and I would rather not block the middle of our nether portal. Okay, so this is going down. Now we need to figure out what a good Y level is. I want it to be underneath the ground over here. So this is 77, and I kind of dug a little hole right here. So let's go down to 72. And then we'll go ahead and dig that over. All right, so over inside here, jumping down, and let's go 2 more blocks down, and then we're gonna go over a good amount. Let's just go ahead and get our vein mine, do a small tunnel, and get that connected all the way over. Now, I believe... Nope, we definitely went way, way too far. Let's see here. Let's go about right here, dig up, see where we are. Oh, look at that. Perfectly exactly where I wanted to be. All right. So let's go ahead and get the shafts, get the gearboxes, and connect this up. All right, now in order to turn a sideways, we're going to use the normal gearbox. And then connect, keep going over just a few, and we're gonna go ahead and go up right here. So one more, do a vertical gearbox, and then let's go up right into our build. Somehow I put blocks above my head. And here we go. Okay, so now we have the rotational force in our build over here, which is perfect. And now we need to start setting things up. All right, so first things that we wanted to set up, as I mentioned before, was going to be our mechanical press. Now, I would rather not hold this forever, so I think one of our very first tasks is to get this connected up over into our over to our windmill. So all we need, vertical gearbox, connect that right there. And then let's go ahead and take this down, and we'll go ahead and connect it underground with our other force. Take this down just a couple more so that lines up. We can put a vertical gearbox. And there we go. That should be now connected. And you can see this is now turning. So if we were to go ahead and get some iron, let's go ahead and say get 26. Put this down over here. It'll go ahead and automatically go. Now, it's not going quick, but it is constantly going without user interaction, and that is amazing. Now, if we want to go ahead and increase it, there are going to be 2 different ways to increase the speed. First is going to be by using gear shifting. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and basically what it is, let me go ahead and get the necessary blocks here, get rid of all these things from our inventory. We need to go ahead and come over here and get a couple of the gears, the small and the large. And if we come over here, we have a shaft we can connect it to. Now, basically, in order to gear shift, you need to connect larger wheels to smaller wheels. All right, so if I don't fall in the hole, you can see the speed that this shaft is rotating. And when we connect it to a large cogwheel that is connected to a small one, this small one is now rotating faster. So if we kind of have both of these here, you can see that the top one is rotating faster. Now, what's really cool is you can do these multiple times and have a small go into a large, and you can see that large is even going even faster. Connect that up to a small, and look how fast that is going now. Now, this is going to be the first way. This is the most simplistic way of doing it. Now, we were lucky in the places that we looted that we were able to loot what's called a rotational complex, or rather a rotational speed controller. Okay, this rotational speed controller can easily change the speed for us just by a matter of clicking on it. Like that's all we got to do. It's amazing. Okay, so in order to set it up, let's go ahead and put one down right here. And first we need to take a large cogwheel and connect it. Now, all it does is it'll take rotational force from one cogwheel and change the speed of the outgoing cogwheel. Now, from my experience, I have seen this work both ways, where it doesn't matter where you put the force. I have seen other mod packs, and maybe it's just previous versions, that it did matter. So let's go ahead and test this out, and then we can verify what it is we actually need to do. So I think first off, I'm going to increase the speed of everything that we have. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get rid of that, and we're going to put the speed controller right here. Going, nope, it wants to connect to that. Going this direction. And then we need to get a large cogwheel right here, and we need to connect this up to the large cogwheel. Now, we could just go ahead and do a small cog and a small cog, and there we go. So now all we need to do is come over to the rotational speed controller, and we are rotating this at a speed of 16. But if I hold right click, I can actually speed it up. So let's go 128, and look how fast that is going now. We can increase it all the way to 256, and now it will go absolutely insane speeds. So if we go ahead, get some more iron, let's just get 13 more. Look how fast that's going now. Super quick. Now, the issue with this is that if we go ahead and look at this, and we happen to be wearing the engineering goggles, as we look at any machine with the goggles, it'll tell us what the kinetic stress impact is. And basically, anytime that you are generating rotational force, that rotational force can only rotate so much. And if we come over here, we can actually look at what it is. If I can land on it. And let me just break this. So this right here is generating 8,192 stress units. So that's how much it is generating, which means that's how much we can put stress onto the system before it'll just be overstressed and just shut down. So this is something you really need to keep an eye on as you continue going down create. All right. So luckily, one thing that we can do is as soon as our machines begin to be a little bit overstressed, we can just come over here and reduce the speed to a lower amount. So we can drop it down to like 128. And as we drop things down, the stress now is significantly less. Okay, so that was the very first thing we needed to make. The next is going to be the mixer. Now, we need the mixer so we can start making brass, which is going to be super helpful. So let's go ahead and get the basin, and we'll put the mixer right on top. And now in order to connect the mixer up, we need to have a cog. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a cog wheel, connect that up there, and let's just go ahead and go straight down with a shaft, and that'll connect up. Okay, so let's get 2 gearboxes. Let's get a vertical one to go this direction, Let's bring this a couple more, use a gearbox to switch it over this direction. And there we go. So that is now going. Perfect. So in order to make brass, what do we need? So brass, come over here, brass ingot. We can use the create mixer, use a copper ingot and a zinc ingot over top of a mixer, but it does need to be heated and we need to get a blaze burner. Now, we did get lucky when we were in the stronghold and we got empty blaze burners. Now, in order to get a blaze burner, you do need to go into the nether, find a blaze, and right click on the blaze. Now, I believe we have a nether fortress saved in our nether fortress right here. So hopefully I can get in here. I can find a blaze pretty quickly. Except for I'm not... Oh, wait. Nope. I see one straight ahead, it looks like. So let's come over here, find a blaze, and all we need to do is right click on it and we'll capture it. And here it is right over here. What just hit me? Oh, hi. Oh, there he is. Over here, click on it, and there we go. We have a blaze captured. I don't see any other blazes. Nope, there is actually... Nope, that is way too far away. That's not even in this structure. All right, so let's just go back home. We only needed one. I was hoping we could get another just in case, but nope. We can always go back another time if we need more. All right, so let's get this blaze burner. And all we need to do is put it directly underneath. Perfect. So now in order to heat it, we do need to go ahead and use any type of fuel. So we have a ton of coal. So we can just use coal, and if we right click on it, it gets heated up and it'll go ahead and run for a little bit of time. Now, in order to make brass, we need to take copper and throw that in there, and zinc and throw that in there. And there we go. It'll go ahead and start connecting. It'll go ahead and start converting and making it. And there we go. Perfect. Now, I don't want to have to sit here and constantly throw those in. So I want to find a automated way of doing that. And I think we're going to end up using drawers. So let's go ahead. Let's get a couple drawers. I'm going to put copper in one, zinc in the other. And if we have a pusher upgrade, we should be able to push those in. So this one's going to want to push in the west direction. So just right click on this. Oh, I just passed it. Oh, passed it again. All right, there we go. And then this is going to want to go in the east direction. Perfect. So let's go ahead and try this out real quick. If we go ahead, come over here, get a stack of zinc and a stack of copper. Yeah, sweet. There we go. That's automatically going. Now, I am going to want to go ahead and get the brass out of here, put the brass into another drawer. But in order to do that, I need to pipe it out, but I can't pipe it with this shaft here. So we're going to actually move this shaft over and connect this up slightly differently. You know what? Actually, let's not do that. Let's just move it back. That'll be perfectly fine. So if we want to move it back, you know what? I kind of want to leave this here because we're going to have a line of different machines. So let's just use vertical gearbox. Use one here and here. Go up with a couple shafts. And then all we need is one more cog, and there we go. It's still working. Perfect. Now, in order to get the items out, we're going to end up using a pipe. So item pipe, item wrench, and let's go ahead and connect this up. Now with the wrench, all we need to do is right click to tell it to pull items, right click again to disconnect it. And what we want is not to have those up there. Go ahead and get, nope. Again, we don't need those. We want the brass in there. Sweet. So let's go ahead and tell it to pull from the bottom and push into the top. So now, as soon as we add some fuel, it'll go ahead and go. And then we can just load this up with a bunch of fuel, click on it a ton of times, and it'll just constantly go. And there we go. That's making just tons of brass. All right, now that we have our brass going, let's go ahead and set up our auto smelter. So I want to basically build an auto smelter that I can just load up a bunch of items into a barrel and just have it run forever until all those items are processed. So we're going to end up setting up a little belt, and I want to have items come out of the belt here and then be put into another barrel here. That's the idea. Now, with the mechanical belt, you can go ahead and take andesite casings or any type of casing and right click on it to kind of fill it in and just give it a little bit of a nicer look. Now, in order to take items out and put them back into a barrel, we are going to need a funnel. Okay, so funnels. There are andesite and also brass. We personally want to use the brass, and in order to make brass, we need a few different things, including brass ingots, electron tubes, and also dried kelp. So let's go ahead and get all those things. We have a ton of brass over here. Let's go ahead, take the brass. We're going to put it into our storage. Let's go ahead and make a electron tube. And in order to make a electron tube, you need to have polished rose quartz. We have a bunch of rose quartz here and some sandpaper, and all we need to do is put the rose quartz in our offhand and hold down right click, and this will go ahead and sand it and polish it. Now, sadly, the sandpaper, as you see down there, has a limited number of usages, so you can only use it 8 times before that sandpaper breaks. Luckily, within this pack, we can go ahead and take the rose quartz and use it on the diamond grindstone to automatically create polished rose quartz. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get some kelp. Let's get this fried up on our stove in the kitchen. You know what? That just got picked up in here, didn't it? It did. There we go. Now, the question is, do I have any pre-made? I already have a ton. Sweet. All right, so let's go ahead, put all these into our storage here, and let's craft up some of those items. So, brass funnel is what we're looking for. And the electron tube, there we go. Now, I'm also going to need electron tubes for mechanical crafters. So I'm going to craft up a handful of these, say 10 might be good enough. And we're going to need, I think, 4 brass funnels in total. So let's come over here. We are going to have it on each side. One will eject, one will insert. And what's really good about the brass funnels is that we can put a filter. And that's exactly what we're going to need, because if we don't put the filter, as soon as the item gets ejected from this barrel, it'll go directly into that one before it's even smelted. So let's go ahead and connect this up. Let's just verify things are going in the correct direction. Nope, they are not. And in order to change the direction, we can just add an additional gearbox. There we go. So you can now see that the belt is going in the direction from here over to the right. So if I go ahead, come in here, put items out, they just instantly went. The brass funnel can go ahead and do entire stacks at once instead of a single item. which allows it to go so much quicker. Okay, so now we need to have it smelt, and the way that we have it smelt is by using an encased fan. So go ahead and hit W on this, and you can kind of see an example where it will go ahead and use rotational force and blow air, but as soon as you put either lava or water, a campfire, tons of different options, you can go ahead and have the encased fan process different things. So here's an example of using lava. It'll go ahead and smelt any item that is in between here and give you the results. Now we can go ahead and put it on the belt so that they're not just free floating, and it will make it a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and get a couple trapdoors, and basically what I want to do is I want to get the lava trapped right above this belt. Now I can go ahead and use some trapdoors here. I don't have to worry about the wood burning because we do have fire tick turned off. And there we go. So let's go ahead and get some lava. Click right there. And perfect. So we have lava directly above it. This trapdoor is ensuring that it is not gonna fall down onto the belt. And now all we need to do is put the fan directly above it. So let me just put down a couple blocks. Come down here, and the fan should now be pointing down. Sweet, it is, yeah. So all we need to do is connect up rotational force to the top. So let's get a couple gearboxes, get our shaft, and get that connected. So let's just turn it this way, do a shaft, do another gearbox, and go straight down. Perfect. And based on the particles, it looks like they are going straight down. Now, let's go ahead, test this out. We have some extra kelp. And if I were to put kelp in here, we ideally want the dried kelp, but we don't get it. And the reason is because it didn't sit here long enough. So in order to do that, we need to configure this funnel to only accept items that cannot be smelted. And in order to do that, we need to make a attribute filter, which we need brass nuggets. So let's craft some of those. Attribute filter, come in here, and let's go ahead and configure this now. So we need to have it, let's go ahead and add a reference item. It'll make it a little bit easier. So kelp, for instance, and we can say can be smelted. If it can be smelted, we want to have it deny. So we're going to add can be smelted to the deny list, get that saved. And if we put that there, come back over here, put the kelp down, notice that it is stopped and it can't go any further. Perfect. Problem. That's not underneath the lava. Not at all. So we need to go ahead and change this funnel ever so slightly and extend it outwards, which we can just go ahead and use the create wrench, which we need to go ahead and craft. We don't have gold sheets. Let's get some gold. Come over to our bonker. Put that down. 1, 2, 3. And let's get this crafted. There we go. Now with the wrench, we can go ahead and right click on these and change it so that it extends outwards. And the filter is still on it. So if we put these back in here, it'll come out. Items sit right there, which should have it smelted. Let's just wait, give it a second, verify that it works. There we go. Yes. It went ahead and got picked up. Where did it go? Wait. Oh, Okay, so I am pretty sure what happened is it actually got burned up. And the reason that it got burned up is because of the fact that it has to be cooked, not smelted. It can be very picky about that. So let's go ahead, let's look at kelp. And if we look at kelp and look at the usages, if we come over to the fan, notice that the only option is a fire, not a, yeah, because bulk smoking, not bulk smelting. So it got burned up, which is fine. It's okay. If we come in here, let's grab some raw ores. Let's just get, say, 32 raw iron, put it in here. It'll come down, that'll get smelted, and it'll go ahead and get processed, put into the chest, and everything gets smelted fine. Just give that a moment. Why did that not get picked up? Can iron ingots be smelted? Because the filter is not being passed right now? What? Iron? Usages? No. It cannot be smelted. Why is it not going into the filter? Add a reference. Okay. Let's get the raw iron. Put that as the reference. Can be smelted. Add to the attribute list. Deny. Accept. Okay, that got picked up that time. Let's try this again. I think I just set that up wrong. Okay, so iron ore is sitting there, waiting to be smelted. As soon as it gets smelted, it'll go ahead and go into that barrel. Da-da-da. There we go. Perfect. So we can do the same thing with, say, sand. Because sand, if we go ahead and look at the usages of it, and come over here, bulk blasting, which is going to be with the lava, and that'll turn into glass. So if we want a bunch of glass, really simple, load this up with sand, it'll come over here, get smelted, or rather blasted. And from the blasting process, we'll get an entire stack of 64 glass in just one go, which is absolutely significantly faster than any furnace in vanilla, unless you have a massive furnace array, which you could just have a massive blasting array. And there we go, an entire stack of glass. Love it. Perfect. Not that hard to set up either. So super helpful. All right, so we need to go ahead and continue making more machines. The next one I wanted to make is going to be the mechanicalcrafter. Now we need to make the mechanicalcrafter because we need crushing wheels, and that's going to be the only way to make it. In addition, I really want to make the wand of symmetry. This is one of my favorite, absolutely favorite building tools, and it is absolutely amazing, and I want to make one. So we're going to go ahead, get all the mechanical crafters we need, get that set up, and then we'll go ahead and do a little bit more crafting there to get those items. If you guys have never used the wand of symmetry, I will show you what it is and why it is one of my favorite building tools. Now we already have a bunch of brass casings. We should be able to come in here, we need 25. We have 24. We need to get a couple more crafting tables. Those are really easy to make. And we need a couple more electron tubes. Those are easy to make as well. and one more. There we go. So we have 25. Now I'm going to take this and put it over here perfectly in this space and start building this up. We need to make a 5x5 area in which these crafters are connected. Perfect. All right, now that we have our wrench, we can go ahead and configure this so that all of the arrows combine into a single point. So I'm going to have it combine into the bottom middle. So all we have to do is come over here, click on it, and get the arrows to go in that direction. Now I am going to go ahead and take these goggles off because they're highly annoying, the fact that they constantly show that. And there we go. So let's just go ahead. All these are going to go to the middle first, and then they're going to go down. All those are already configured to go down. So to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. Really wanted to start singing it to the left, everybody, to the back, to the left. This is the reason I don't sing. But the song popped into my head. Apologies if I just ruined that for everyone. All right, so all these are now pointed into the middle and coming down into the bottom. Now we need to add a button right here. We're going to put it bottom middle, which will go ahead and activate this once we have all the items in it. And now we just need to get it connected up to some rotational force. So let's pop down here in the bottom section, and we need to dig ourselves a little tunnel this way and get that connected over. Now, I think because I don't necessarily need the crafters to go that fast, I am probably not going to connect it off of this line over here, and instead connect it off of the main line again. Now, where am I over here? Let's see, we need to go just a little bit further. Right here. Go ahead, put a couple blocks down. Put that one back there. And hopefully we'll punch into that area here in a moment. I did dig a hole. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's clean up our inventory. Let's go ahead and get these cogs down. So all we need to do is put a cog there, cog here, all the way down. And then let's go ahead and get this connected off to the other tunnel. There we go. So we just need to get that connected to that, and that should be it. So the question is, how are we going to get that connected? I think we are probably going to use a couple gearboxes. Do we have any more shafts? We do. And if we put a cog down, we just need to do one more over here, or a gearbox, I'm sorry, and connect this up. So there we go. So that's now going. So, yep, you can see the gears are turning. So this is now configured properly. So in order to craft the crushing wheel, we just need a single piece of stone, 4 pieces of planks, and then surround it with andesite alloys. All you got to do is come over here, click on it, and put the pieces in where they belong. Once you have everything ready, once it's all in position, all you need to do is hit the button and it'll start crafting. It'll go ahead, take all the items, bring it together, and bring it to that single point that we configured earlier, which is going to be the bottom middle. This crafting process is just amazing. I absolutely love it. It does not get old. I've seen this so many times now, but it is still just so amazing. And there we go, crafting wheels. And it'll just plop right off. Perfect. So 2 crafting wheels. So now we need to go ahead, take these, get these set up, And I'm going to go ahead and do that over here on this side. So let's go ahead, figure out exactly where. Now, what we're going to end up doing is having a system that will take our raw ore. So if I go ahead, you know what, let's just pop over here. If you guys remember from our ore galore episode, we ended up getting a lot of raw ore. And this is not what I am going to want to put into a smelter, which is why we leaned into making all of this stuff with Create, is because I want all iron and copper and gold and all this stuff. I just don't want to smelt it and spend forever doing so. But what we can do is we can take the raw iron. If we hit usages on it, we can notice that we can crush it. And when we crush it, we'll get crushed iron ore, as well as getting a 75% chance of getting a nugget of experience. But with the crushed iron ore, we can go ahead and either smelt that, or if we wash it, we'll go ahead and get an iron ingot, 9 iron nuggets, and then also a good chance of getting redstone ore, which is basically free items that we wouldn't get if we just smelted it. So we're going to set up a system that'll go ahead and crush the raw iron, raw ores in general, take that over, and then go ahead and get it washed for us. So let's go ahead, come back over here, and let's set that system up. Now we're going to want to go ahead and use some belts again. So we'll go ahead and put a shaft right there. And then we're going to want to come over, and I think probably about right there, we might have to move that. We will see. Let's go ahead and get our other belt out and get that connected. We need to go ahead. Let's get our iron, or our iron. Let's go ahead and get our oak planks back out, and we can go ahead and connect this up. So thinking if we put one of those down, we can go ahead and connect that up, break these. Perfect. That's looking good. Get that broken. And now we just need to connect up all of the machinery. That's going to go ahead and, or all of the cogs and rotational force to get this working. So we should already have over here a shaft that is going in this direction. Let's go ahead and keep this going and see if we can go ahead and connect this up. So where do we want to go? Let's go up, say right here. Perfect. Okay. Just a couple more blocks. Get that cleaned up. Clean up our inventory. And where are our shafts? Right here. Our gearboxes and our vertical gearbox. So a vertical gearbox going straight up. Connect that up there. And then this just needs to go down all the way to get connected. And there we go. Perfect. Now, crushing wheels take a absolute ton of rotational, well, a ton of stress. So you can see right now, this one is already using 1,000 at the current speed. I think that's a decent amount. They're going to use 2,000 together, which is 25% of all of the rotational force that we can generate. But, you know, I think that'll be fine. Now, let's go ahead and come down. Let's just connect up another one and go directly up with that. And we need to make sure that they are spinning in the correct direction, which it looks like they are both going in the wrong direction. It is really hard to tell because it is going so fast. But it looks like they are going opposing each other, which means we just need to put a single, you know what, we're actually going to want to do that anyways. Let's just put it right here for right now. One gearbox should change the direction. And yes, those are going towards each other now. So if we go ahead, let's get a raw iron. Come down here, and if we throw this straight down, that should get processed, and there we go. Yeah. We got ourselves a nugget of experience and also the crushed raw iron. Perfect. All right, so we need to go ahead and get the mechanical belt set up so that it can go ahead and push items that way. Let's go ahead. You know what? Let's just do another gearbox. We need more shafts. And one more gearbox should get that going. Right? Do we have any more? Yes, 44. Now, is it going the right direction? Of course not. So instead, we'll just do 2 gearboxes. And now it's going that way. You know, that is really annoying. It's also really annoying that sometimes they don't move. Yep. That visual effect or lack of the bug, the issue is highly annoying. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that fixed it partially. We still have a section that's not moving, but it actually is moving. So if we go ahead, take an item, put it down, it just starts going all the way down and then plops off at the end. Perfect. Okay, so we need to go ahead and get a barrel. Do I have one? I have a single one. Let's go ahead and get a larger one. We have, let's just get a gold one. Get some planks, and then I also need just a normal andesite funnel. So we are going to put the barrel right on top, and then just underneath the barrel, we're going to put an andesite funnel. And if we take our wrench, click it on, you'll notice the arrow right there switches to down, which means items will fall down. There we go. Oh, if I go ahead and I'm not close enough to actually pick everything up. Notice how it's just all coming down here and being plopped off, which is absolutely amazing. That's exactly what we want. All right. So that we don't have to pick it all up, let's get ourselves a barrel real quick. Put the barrel, say, right here, and then put it funnel onto it, and now everything will go into that. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to want to put another barrel on this side, a funnel here, and then I'm going to want a funnel on this side, but I'm not going to put it just yet because items will start spewing. And just like that, items will start spewing out, and I don't want items to spew out just yet. We're going to do the exact same thing here that we have over here, but instead put water on top. So let's go ahead and sleep. Let me get that hooked up, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so we have this hooked up now, and we have the water being blown down onto the items that need to be washed. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Put in the 64 crushed raw iron, and it should automatically take it out. Perfect. Now, I went ahead and put the brass funnel over here and put a filter on it, so only items that can be washed are extracted. And then this funnel will only wait until items, or will only accept items that cannot be washed. So as soon as this is washed, it'll go ahead and should be picked up and put into this barrel. Haven't tested, but fingers crossed. Anytime now, ... There we go. So perfect. And it picks up super freaking quick. All right. So as you can see, it works, but this barrel is going to fill up very, very quickly. So I went ahead and got a couple upgrades ready that we can upgrade both of these into sophisticated storage barrels, and then all the way up to netherite so we can store an absolute ton. Now, one of the really cool things about sophisticated storage is that it has a ton of upgrades, and one of these upgrades is a compactor upgrade. And this is right here is what I'm going to want. We need to make a upgrade base. We need to make a basic one, which will allow us to compress anything in a 2x2 recipe, and then get a third one, or a upgraded one that'll do 2x2 and 3x3. So coming in here, putting it in, we can go ahead and have it compact everything. That, yes, so only works with upgrades and automation. So as soon as things are brought in, yep. I can also turn this off so it works in the GUI. So as soon as I pick up a block and put it down, it'll craft it. Only uncraftable, correct. So like it won't craft things up that's not uncraftable. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, like ice blocks, because you can't uncraft those. It'll only be able to craft up the iron nuggets into iron ingots and iron ingots into iron blocks, because you can take an iron block and down craft it into the smaller ingredients. So perfect. So let's go ahead. Let me come over here real quick, grab, say 5 stacks of iron. 1, 2, 3, 4, you know what? I guess 6. Let's just fill up our inventory. Come back and let's give this a try. Now, I also went ahead and replaced the funnels we had over here. We had andesite funnels before. I changed them to brass because with brass, you can configure how many items drop out as well as how often they pick up. So the brass can go up to an entire stack at once, which a andesite funnel can only do a single one. So this will make it so much quicker, and it is going in here, storing the ingots, and items are coming right on out. So that is wonderful. So check back in a little bit, and this should really be increased. We should get a ton. So we're at 10 blocks right now. That should be almost an entire stack, maybe? Something like that. But perfect. All right, so this is working. Last, all we really wanted to do next is I wanted to craft the Wand of Symmetry, as it is one of my favorite building tools, and I wanted to show you guys what this can do. Now it looks like I have all of the crafting ingredients except for a rotational complex, or what is that called? Precision mechanism. I'm sorry. So the precision mechanism is the only thing I'm missing, and it is a pain to make. However, there is another way of getting this, and that is using the Twilight Forest uncrafting table, in which we can uncraft several different items and get ourselves a precision mechanism. And I just so happen to have a couple extra rotational speed controllers that I am going to go ahead and go do that. So let's go ahead and take this over, and I'll show you guys how this uncrafting table works, because it is super amazing. I can stop flying. There we go. Come down here, and we got this in our Ore Galore episode when we were in the Twilight Forest. We happened to get it in a chest. It was super lucky. But all we do is we put the item into the uncrafting table. It'll take 2 levels in order to uncraft it. And all you have to do is click over here and you can take the items. And there we go. It took my 2 levels, but I get the items. Well worth it, because this item is a pain in the butt to craft, and I just put that up and I need it. At create. Let's go ahead and get that back out. I believe I also needed a piece of obsidian, and I think that might be it. Let's go ahead and check. No, we needed the brass as well. Perfect. All right, so now that should be it. Let's get back over there. Let's finish putting the items into the mechanical crafter and get it crafted. Now, that is not where that goes. So brass goes down here, obsidian goes there, precision mechanism, ender pearl, and our 3 pieces of glass, which I put up. Oh, you can tell that it's late when I'm recording this. And put those 3 there, and that should be it. All we need to do is hit our button. And there we go. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So for those who are not familiar with what the Wand of Symmetry does, I will show you just how powerful it is and how it makes building so much easier. Let's go ahead and make ourselves some cobblestone bricks. And let's also get some spruce. And I'm not going to build up this house right now. That'll be for next episode, but I'll show you just how amazing this is and why it makes building so easy. So if we shift right click in the air, you can see that we can configure this how we want it to mirror. We can mirror it once, which will go ahead if we put it down. Notice any block that I put on this side will be mirrored. Okay, now we can go ahead and also break blocks doing that, which means we can mine even quicker. If we set it up to be rectangular or even octagonal, it can do even more. So if I put a block perpendicular to it, it'll put it on all four sides. But if I start to do it in a diagonal, it'll put it on all sides, which means making circles is super easy. At the same time, we can use this to build. And when I go ahead and build up these spruce logs, notice it is doing all 8 at once. And it'll also break all 8 at once. We can come over here, do the corners, and do all 4 corners at once, as well as starting to build up some of the walls. It'll build all 8 sides at a single time, which makes building super easy and super quick, because you can go ahead and use this and make your builds perfectly symmetrical, which is good, but also can be bad. But yes, so you can already see the power and see the vast amount of usages that you can use this for, and it is absolutely amazing. Now, if you want to go ahead and build with it, you can do that. And as soon as you take the item off your hotbar, it'll allow you to build without being in the symmetry mode. But as soon as you bring it back, it'll go ahead and continue building in that symmetry mode. Let's go ahead, break, and it breaks all sides at once, which is super nice. All right. Well, I think this right here was a success. We're able to get tons and tons of ores now, and also look how much experience we're getting. Ah, beautiful. We are probably going to end up taking a compacting upgrade in this as well, so we can make the blocks of experience, because this is going to fill up very quick once we fill it full of like 50,000 ores that we have chilling over there in the other chest. We are definitely going to get some good use out of this. Being able to smelt tons, absolute tons, super quick is going to be super useful, as well as being able to make brass. And we're also going to come back and probably use this, or even add more into this, in order to do a lot of our cooking stuff. So we can take wheat, get wheat flour, we can mix wheat flour together. There's so much that we can do with Create. It is absolutely insane. Now, our plan for next episode will be to build this up. Right now, it is not the prettiest by any means, but that is our plan for next episode. Now, because this is also episode number 20, something that I wanted to make sure you all know is that I am going to be taking the world download of this world and putting it in my Discord for you all to download if you care to load it up, walk around, check it out for yourself, and enjoy what we have done here through our last 20 episodes. Absolutely crazy. We have made it to 20 episodes of this. I absolutely love it. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and bid you all adieu. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that if you guys did like the episode, make sure to smash the like button, click the subscribe button to get notified when we post our next video. And if you are not already, make sure to join the Discord and come chat with us. All right, you guys take care and enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.